And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the monastery, the open bar of the internet. And I would be doing the rest of the intro, but it's rare for me to do this kind of intro on my damn birthday. But I am your one and only birthday monk, better known as Mildra. With me, I have some of my guests this time around. We have our lovely demon mama, Mistress Riona. We have good brother Zan, the bane of my fucking existence. We have good brother Slick Rick. We will have a couple others coming in. Much as I would like to play the Kogami Happy Birthday gag, unfortunately, since John might not be here, that is something we will not be able to do.
Happy birthday, Mr. President.
President?
No, since we don't have the soundboard, let me just listen to a few clips.
I'm afraid.
Be afraid. Be very afraid. Oh, by the way, Monk, where do you want me to put this dwarven alcohol I stole?
Put it in the back.
Okay. Rolls 10 kegs over.
In the back.
As long as you didn't get it from Fenris, then we're fine.
I would neither
Put
confirm
it on
nor
the high
deny.
shelf so they can't steal it back.
Hey Zan, can you help me? I want to put on one of the shelves only you and Monk can grab.
Oh god, what? Okay. Sure, I'll put it up there.
Awesome.
But I am not going to do the singing part for Kogami because, well, we all know that what we really want from Kogami is Happy Birthday!
It was so good it glitched out.
No,
Yes,
that's
of
just
course.
that's just him pulling a Morikawa again.
God damn
Toshiki
it.
Morikawa is my spirit animal. One of these days, I'm going to break everybody's microphones and speakers.
You got a
I
long
wonder
way to
if
go.
Morikawa-sama would be proud.
Well, like that,
Well,
like
here's
that whole blowback speaker moment in Back to the Future.
any bass singer who really goes low.
Skill issue, how would I know?
Oh,
for you, Riona, I'll make it blow up your computer. Not really. I wouldn't want to do that to you.
yeah, but thanks for the birthday wishes to Nacho Warrior and to Ghost. But yeah, this has been a very interesting year. My a lot of my social medias and a lot of my text messages have been blowing up with some of the messages from friends and family. I suppose that's the consequence when you've been making a lot of friends in the tabletop world for the last few years.
Hello, brother.
And now Poops is here.
Hello there, Coops.
Merry Birthmas to you, Big Dog.
Apparently, a lot of people have been calling today Monkmas.
I no doubt know the reason why.
Yeah. It's not like I haven't. It's not like that isn't part of my title or anything.
It's the most curmudgeonly time of year.
Damn it, Rihanna.
I am perfectly fine with being the family Scrooge every year. Mostly because of the fact that nobody trusts any Christmas presents or any holiday present I'm going to give anyone because of my reputation.
His proclivities.
Did I ever tell you guys about the endless box?
You told me about it. I know that.
I'm
It's
not
a
sure.
box within a box within another box within another box.
Pretty much, it was the Christmas box equivalent of a Russian nesting doll.
Matryoshka dolls. Yay!
And at the bottom of all of that was a pair of white socks.
No, it should have been taxes.
I had thought about putting just tax.
Yeah, I would hand the monk a yellow cake. Because yellow cake is delicious.
Yeah, you probably would. And Sparrow, what are you doing in the chat? Get your ass in here. And
He's your number one bit supplier now, Monk, because he's the first person to have cheered you any bits.
I think that's fitting.
yeah, I definitely appreciate it. I probably should get things like bits and things like sub points or channel points or whatever set up. I've just been really lazy about it because, well, for one, there's been bigger priorities, and two, I'm just not that kind of streamer.
Yeah, you don't have that type of engagement. Just to let you know, Monk, if you ever do update your channel points, I have over 94,000.
I know, that's the other thing. Some people have accumulated so much that they're just gonna
Hydrate,
spam it.
Monk, or we riot.
If I do a
She just-
hydrate, it is not going to be me getting sprayed in the face with a hose.
Besides, Rihanna, I already do that to you already in your streams.
Bird says he'll jump in when the noise on his end.
True LOL.
But things have been, but even with that, I will eventually have to bite the bullet and set some things up and get some emotes. I haven't figured out what sort of emotes to go with because I'm not as animated as other streamers. That's kind of the issue. I can certainly get animated, but it's not in the same style.
The yellow horn.
I mean, the yellow horn is one thing. The skull chant is another. If I ever get
Fuck the Watsy.
I'd only do fuck the Watsy if I can get it to somehow mimic the Wizard of the Coast logo.
As soon as that you guys said that, I just imagined the whole you in the tank with the fuck the Watsy flag just moving around crazily across the screen.
I still have that art. Back in the old format when we did the tank bowls.
Yeah, I just imagined it like a couple of them going around, and it's just you hear a little. It's still you, but it's very much higher pitch because it's like because it's a mini monk just saying "fuck the Watsy, fuck the Watsy," like a gremlin.
Yeah, maybe. Problem is, I don't have gremlin energy. That's far more of If there's anybody who's got gremlin energy, it's Sandy.
Maybe Sandy will join us. Did I put anything in her server? I feel like I did. I did.
Let's Mildred is too tall to be a gremlin.
I did put I did put links in her server. I don't know if she has plans today or not though, so that's another thing.
Yeah, and some of the people that we follow aren't as judicious as I am regarding putting up scheduling. Because I'll put it up every week, and yes, I did see that in the chat. Riona put up a pair of melons, big juicy melons.
God damn it, Rihanna.
Don't make me say it, Monk. We don't have the button, but I will say it.
I'm not gonna make you say it.
Well, I'm going to say it anyway. Because I can. Because it's funny. I just got to find the there it is. Bosoms, melons, milk factories, busts, fun bags, knockers, ballistics, boobies, jugs, nipples, jubblies, stonking great tits.
Yeah.
There you go.
But I will note that the crazy amount of work I ended up doing yesterday and Saturday was not the usual affair. Usually what happens whenever I end up scheduling a triple shot, which is not uncommon, it's not as common as double shots or just singles, but it does happen. The universe finds some way to get in the way of that, like somebody had to cancel or something like that.
Yep.
That's not what happened this time around, but I was glad I was able to get all of it done. And whenever I say I'm doing a triple shot, people are like, "You're gonna be dead tired after the end of it," and no, not really. I found a way to space things out. I don't know if it's just a skill issue on their part or too much skill on my part. You make the call.
I think you're just a
Skill
social
issue.
butterfly.
What was that, Coops?
It's a skill issue.
Yeah, it's just a matter of them not either they don't have enough or I've got too much.
It's the latter. It's definitely the latter.
But I think doing this for as many years as I have has rendered me a bit more resilient. about as resilient as weak snack bread.
Noodle.
Zan, I'm pretty sure you've had that at least once.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you ever had hamburger rations. or,
Mm-hmm.
or hamburger MRE, technically.
You do a build up streaming energy for it like a muscle. It's interesting.
Um, Riona, how long have you been on Twitch? Or just streaming in general?
2.5 years of streaming.
I have been involved in streams in one form or another since all the way since the days of the Writer Project. You know exactly where I'm going with that, Sam. Rick,
Oh yeah.
because that was my first introduction to the RVT crew when I GM'd that.
Oh wow, deep magic time. Quote it to me, lol.
Like,
I was going to say I was able to get a Monty Python joke out of not Monty Python, Princess Diary or Princess Bride. What?
Princess Bride.
Yep, thank you.
but
I've been in the sun all day.
It's okay.
it is that it. Hang on, I'm trying to find the. So, that stream was 8 years ago.
Wow.
And and I know some might say, well, I was only the GM, I wasn't running the stream. All right, I'll reference the first episode of Monastery Live.
That's like what, 6 years ago?
Let's see. So that was the one we titled Mildred's Housewarming Party. And yeah, that was June 3rd, 2018.
Yeah. 6 years ago. I thought so.
Mm-hmm. So, and as I've hinted at before, in a couple weeks, in fact, 2 weeks from tomorrow, will be the 10th anniversary of the channel.
Opa!
And some of you know what's coming. The rest of you, well, it'll be a nice surprise. But the point is, I've been doing this kind of thing for quite a while. I'm still not going to call myself a veteran or anything like that, because it's been a lot of me fumbling about trying to figure out how things work.
House rewarming with fire.
I suppose, though. At least I set the fire in the fireplace instead of setting it in the middle of the cabin like Imo Koivunen did. Though, in his defense, meth.
That's not a defense, Monk.
It is
Yeah,
when you end up taking like 20 capsules worth of Pervidin.
No comment.
That would be defense against a bear.
Well, funny thing about that, Triona, during his particular case where he ended up taking way too much Pervidin, and for the record, Pervidin was this stimulant that was used by soldiers back then, but it was pretty much medical grade meth. He ended up taking his whole squad's amount of it because it had congealed into a nugget. At one point, he thought that he had gotten attacked by a wolverine. He ends up stabbing. He ends up getting on the thing and stabbing it. And well, wolverines are relatives to honey badgers and skunks, so that should tell you their attitudes. And
Really?
it turns out, that's not a knife. They took away my knife because I was on Pervidin. That's my compass. I just broke my compass. Still, that's cool. I killed a Wolverine with a compass. And he looks down. That's not a compass, that's a log. He hallucinated the whole thing.
Yeah, that many drugs will make you hallucinate.
He had a resting heart rate of I think like 200 BPM, which under any circumstances should have killed him.
Yep. And Mario has wished you a happy birthday, Monk.
I certainly appreciate that. Uh, but and I do Mario's been very active uh, in the comments, and in the name of fighting the algorithm, which I do appreciate. I'm still in a position where I'm not drowning in comment notifications every single day, and given the subject matter, I don't think I will be for some time. In some levels, that's actually a good thing because it means I don't have to deal with stupid levels of comments, and if there are those stupid levels, the auto mod on YouTube seems to filter a good chunk of those out if they're not pulling the old tweet and delete.
Mm-hmm.
But fortunately, I haven't had any from the grogs for quite a while, and I suppose one of these days I will have to address why I have such a adversarial and downright hostile attitude towards grognardism. The bulk of it is that when I was starting out, I had to deal with that a lot. A lot of people who thought I was some upstart who hadn't paid his dues because I came in doing what I want and did not give a shit. Which arguably I still do. But a lot of it had to do with the idea that I somehow had to just do what other people were doing when it came to groups or when it came to game design or the like, and I was never interested in just doing another medieval high fantasy in the exact same sense as everybody else had done.
Formula overthought types.
Oh, Fiona, you have no idea how widespread that shit is. And I got kicked out of a lot of places for it. I got kicked out of a lot of forums. I had a list of Jericho-like moment where I kept a list of all the different forums that kicked me out for my attitudes. The most recent one was me not allowing myself to be gaslit into thinking certain things about characters that Zan and I had designed during streams. Yes, Zan, I'm referring to the vibrato incident.
Oh, I haven't heard this one.
Oh, Vibrato was one of the heroes we ended up generating as part of UA Great Lakes, who is a shapeshifter that is required by law to wear a specific mask so people know who they are.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Somebody was trying to make it about gender politics, asking, what vibrato is. Our answer was vibrato is vibrato. I mean, technically, if you take it all the way back to when vibrato was born, sure, it was born a he, but vibrato doesn't even know what their own face looks like anymore, or if they do, they're not telling anybody.
They've been shapeshifting literally their whole life.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Makes sense to me.
Yeah.
The way you described it, I mean, first thought that came to my mind was Ace Attorney Dual Destinies with the one character.
I haven't played Dual Destinies.
Okay. Reoccurring character in that one ends up important to the main plot. There's a thief.
Man,
Dude.
I love Vibrava, such a cute Pokemon.
Rick, you're talking about Athena?
Uh,
No, not Athena. I'm talking about the one who keeps changing his face in the one court scene.
Oh. I know what you're talking about now.
Vibrato changed a lot more than his face.
Vibrato can shapeshift into lots of different things.
And that makes sense. However, the reason I made the reference was by the end of the case, one of the characters had a literal identity crisis where he's been in the game so long he forgot who he was, and we literally saw that. Okay.
I just put in Vibrato's appearance for reference, and again, the mask is a legal requirement.
Yeah, he has to wear it in order to make sure that he
That everyone
know
else knows who he is. Even on his official ID, he has that mask on.
Yes. Also, side note, keep an eye out. We're going to end My Hero Academia better than Kohei did.
Yeah, that's coming at the end of the month.
Vibrator is very stylish. 10/10 can vibe with him against any dragon, no matter how bad.
God damn it, Riona!
If this is gonna be how it is with Riona every time this stream, should we have a counter? Should we have a counter on for how many times she breaks Zan in some way?
That's not
doesn't-
breaking
Rick,
one, and two. I'm not doing a counter.
Rick, you should see her streams. It's a lot more rampant.
No, you should see our DMs. They're a lot more dirty.
Oh shit.
But yeah, a bunch of people tried to gaslight me into saying that because of the fact that Vibrato's gender is a shrug, that automatically makes them trans
or non-binary or something like that.
Yeah,
and we're like, no, this is our character. We've designed it. Vibrato is Vibrato. Fuck off with your stupid gender politics bullshit.
One of them even tried to pull the Thurman argument, and I said, you can stick that Thurman argument right up your ass sideways.
Hey!
I think there was another one who tried to use Death of the Author, and I'm like, you keep this up with this whole Death of the Author shit, and there's gonna be death, just not mine. And my only dissatisfaction is that I only get to do it once.
Jonah's about to go back to school. She about to take out some loans. She ain't work.
Oops.
Okay? Yeah. Just come down and be ready because he about ready. You don't talk to everybody but y'all.
Oops.
Sorry, my bad.
Breaking the first rule of television there. But
Sis forgot to knock.
Yeah. And thank you, John Douglas, for the birthday wishes. I really hope to get you back on the show in the future when we aren't under a time crunch like we were last time.
Hi there, Koopsa.
But after things escalated in that server, I got kicked out for quote unquote being combative.
Our fucking character, fuck them.
We made that character and being hostile, and I'm like, I said I know the crowd that you might hang around with is used to just this pretend niceness, but if somebody's gonna piss on my head and call it rain, don't be surprised when hands get thrown.
Mm-hmm.
Because I do not turn the other cheek. I turn your cheek until your head's on backwards. But there's been that. I'd imagine that the only people I worked with who haven't done any happy birthdays to me is Shrike. Probably because I still haven't spoken to her after she decided to value politics more than anything else.
Hey, John.
Hey, John.
Oh, you
Dude,
ruined my surprise.
dodging
I was going to come in
politics.
and go get a surprise, motherfuckers.
I used that that button is set up for when we get raided, actually.
Supplies, motherfuckers.
Also, John, I would do that, but here's the thing: you also stepped on my foot coming in.
Well, that being said, if we have a moment, I think I have a certain thing I have to do.
Hi there, John.
I mean, that's why you want me here, right?
Yeah.
Nope, let's-
Do the honors.
I broke my mic doing it earlier.
Yeah, but thankfully, all I had to do is do the MSC3 thing and push the button, Frank.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. おめでとう。素晴らしい。
Thank
and
you.
just like that, a lot of people turn in their 2-week notices.
Mm-hmm. Although, I think I told you about when one of my old jobs decided that I was overpaid on my last check after I had left.
Oh, isn't that just lovely?
Yeah, they claimed I owed them $50. So I gave them $50 in pennies.
Because you are nothing if not petty, sir.
Yeah, just walked in with a bank bag full of pennies and put it on his desk.
Happy
What's
birthday,
up, Neff?
John.
Hey there, Kay.
Yeah, she is tired. For a very brief recap for those who haven't heard this story yet. So I goofed up really bad yesterday and broke one of our windows.
Yay, hi, Neff.
So my wife has had to spend the last 24 hours straight, plus get everything cleaned up enough so we could have have help getting the glass removed and a board put up.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's been a fun day. Plus,
Yeah.
it's the first day of school for my son, so oh yeah, it's just been a load of shit today.
Yeah, I can imagine.
John, this is why you don't spear someone out the glass window.
I'm not a professional wrestler, okay? I was gonna make a reference, but then I realized no, that isn't what happened there, so that doesn't count.
Counterpoint, neither was Shane McMahon when he got put through the glass.
That was the one I was thinking of, but he got suplexed, not speared, so it doesn't work.
Yeah. Also the glass didn't break the first time, so
Huh? Oh, there you go. As Kate put it, I almost pulled a Jerichan 3000.
yeah. Then again,
God damn it.
And yes, the tradition continues because earlier today I visited my old stomping grounds as I showed Rihanna earlier one of the places I ended up visiting, which was the old Midway Books, which is still there. Zan, when you were in Minnesota, did you ever pass by that area? It was down in like Snelling and University.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you should know that place. That place is like
Mhm.
that place is like a holy ground for bookworms.
Yeah, I've always made the comparison to a very famous bookstore in Portland, Oregon called While Away Books.
Mm-hmm.
Can everyone hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
now we can hear you, Neff.
That is
Okay,
awesome.
for
A
some
good
reason the
bookstore
damn,
is national
Discord,
treasure. Hell, even
put me on the
Barnes
wrong,
and Noble is
input.
so cozy.
I
You think you're tired? I was doing a convention all damn weekend.
I was at that place, which meant I visited the malt shop, and also meant I jukebox bombed the malt shop's jukebox.
What
Basically,
did you do?
I put $5 on Piano Man on loop.
Oh, and Monk,
Yeah.
happy birthday.
Oh, I already hit the button for that there, Neff.
Thank you, Neff. And yes, it also we also ended up going to O'Gara's, which should be a place that any Peanuts fan should visit because that's where Charles Schultz used to live with his father.
Hey.
And the tradition going back 2 generations continues on. Members of my family getting kicked out of the worst Irish tenor contest. Again.
Oh, also, Ed John,
Yes.
you're not a professional wrestler with that attitude. Come on.
But I've been kicked out of the worst Irish tenor contest about 5 times now. My father was kicked out of the worst Irish tenor contest a few times, and so was my grandfather. It is a family tradition being terrible at Irish tenor contests. Which, the thing is, they're looking for the worst, and we still get kicked out.
They don't want that stiff a competition.
You know,
Eh.
it was like how there was that annual tradition where anytime Tallarica was doing video games live and Stuttering Craig would show up, he'd get the boot. That was during the Screw Attack days where he got walked out by Tallarico. And I'm pretty sure there'll be many more events or the like that I will get myself kicked out of because of being a petty motherfucker.
Let's face it, Monk. For you, that's just Tuesday.
Oh, it's not like I'm going full nuisance mode or anything like that. It's more of some people just don't know how to take the heat. Although speaking of, John, did you see what I put up for you in the wrestling Discord?
Let me double check.
It's gonna be in WWE chat.
Oh yeah, I did see that.
For context, somebody put up Joe Hendry's mug on the Jumbotron at AT&T Stadium during this big annual Nerf event. That's held there.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I guess somebody said his name. And thus he appeared. But and when I saw that photo, a few people were like, "Did you do this?" I'm like, "No, I don't even live in Texas." I think the reason they suspected me is because reputation.
It does precede you, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Also, did you see what I just posted recently in the AEW chat?
Hang on, let me see that. Oh, God.
So, for context, apparently AEW has recently trademarked the term Meat Mayhem.
Oh God, no!
Yeah!
That was trademarked apparently 4 days ago.
Which can only mean one thing. We're gonna have I'm gonna say this right now. This is not a pay-per-view title. This is a match name.
Mm-hmm.
Meat
And it's gonna be
Mayhem
full
sounds
of
like
nothing.
something. Oh, go ahead.
All I'm gonna say is it's gonna be full of one thing.
Big meaty man slapping meat.
All I was gonna say was, Meat Mayhem sounds like something Riona would partake in on a Wednesday.
And thank you for the birthday wish, Press. I remember when the whole thing started due to that one match I think it was at All Out last year, and everybody covering it was just shaking their head, going, "What the hell am I doing with my life?" Where I'm talking about the crowd chanting "Meat of the Year" and "Beat that meat, slap that meat, meat forever."
Brought to you by your local butcher shop.
Mm-hmm. Wait, Butcher's not here.
The Blade is, I think.
Yeah, I did recently watch a mini doc about how he started out as the front man for Every Time I Die and then shifted over into becoming a wrestler. And I like Every Time I Die, even if my first introduction to it was that infamous Nice Going Asshole song
Yeah.
from a completely different band who joined them up, who got a little bit salty over the jump. And press, yes, they did. The crowd did chant "Beat that meat."
Yes, I can confirm this. I was watching.
And they wanted to do a Meat Madness match for Revolution, but it got changed at the last minute.
Mainly because a couple of the guys they were hoping to get for the match got injured, I believe.
Mm-hmm. So it's kind of hard to do a Meat Madness match when you've got a couple smaller guys in there.
Yeah.
Like, I think the only one who could get away with that it's a smaller guy, is John Silver.
Well, yeah. No, John Silver would probably count. Though there is one of their names now that he's been hanging around in AEW for a while, Ishii.
Yeah,
I can see that.
I don't care how small he is. You put him in a match with another big guy, that is big meaty men.
Especially since you never have to worry about him breaking his neck because he has no neck.
I'm in Netlock. There's nothing for me to grab.
No, seriously, if any of you guys have seen him, there's no neck. It's just one giant cone.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, there's the chin and all that. He's not full cone head, but
It's close.
It's about as bad as whenever Levesque is in a suit where he looks like he has no neck.
Oh God, yeah.
Oh, I was making that joke for years. But I think over the last year I have gradually learned to accept the fact that I'm going to be labeled as a journalist. I've been ducking and dodging that for about 4 years now, but I think it's starting to sink in that there's no getting away from it.
Only a little bit, though. Only a little bit.
I mean, I have had a few people try and argue that I'm a hypocrite because I've backed several of the Kickstarters that I've done interviews about. As far as I'm concerned, that's just me putting my money where my mouth is.
The thing is that as long as you're still critical of them and you're not praising them simply because you want their favor, you're a proper journalist, not a journo.
Mm-hmm. Hang it. And the other thing is the people that I have worked with, they know that I'm going to be as critical as need be. And in a lot of cases, it's one-person operations. It's not like I'm working with a full-on company.
Yeah.
Mostly because could any of you see me doing any business with a full-on corporation?
Only if they're a corporation like Cover Corp.
That'll be the day.
Even if I'm in a position where I'm working with them, I'd be doing the same thing I said before. It's like this is what I'm willing to do. This is what I'm not willing to do. If you're willing to go with that, then we can shake hands on it. Otherwise, I'm going home.
Yep.
Well, after I get some udon first. Oh.
After you get some udon, and after you get to see your Oshi, whichever one it happens to be.
I'll be honest, I have never picked an Oshi.
Monk, we all know who our Oshi is. It's Yago. Yago is best girl. That is the rule.
I mean, I can't dispute this.
Damn it, Monk! You're making me hungry for udon now.
Udon is good stuff.
There was a sushi.
Mario, he is there. You got to separate journalist from journo. I think that's the best way to put it. A journalist, a proper journalist, is someone who reports facts, gives honest opinions, and doesn't let money cloud his judgment. That's what Monk is. The people who we normally look at as quote-unquote journalists, the ones that keep causing trouble, write
Are
bad
bloggers.
reviews.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, or a blogger. That's a yeah. They're bloggers in disguise. That's what the journos are.
Yeah, and
Those are the people we laugh at.
and let's be honest. If I was in a room with one of those types, it would be the most hostile interview you'd ever see, because there'd be multiple cases where I'd be like, I'm not answering that. And when they say he declined to comment, I said I decline. I would point. I would end up if I'm gonna be in a position where I'm being interviewed by somebody like Polygon or the like, I'd be like, I'm going to have an independent party record the entire interview start to finish. If you end up uploading snippets, I will end up uploading the entire thing to all of my social medias, and there's not a damn thing you're gonna do to stop me.
And
Nope.
remember, there was the Business Insider headline that says, and this, I think, refers to the bloggers more than the journalists. Journalists drink too much, are bad at managing emotions, and operate at a lower level than average, according to a new study. That is journos.
Not to mention, I think if you actually were a journalist, Monk, and you were at a conference or something asking questions, they would be ignoring half your questions because you'd be hitting too close to home.
Oh, there was a point when I was at E3. I actually ended up passing by Tim Schafer. The guy's shorter than he comes off, even when he's around other people. That guy's a fucking manlet.
That reminds me, Monk. Now that you're mentioning manlets, that's the only way that this is relevant. For those of you who don't know, a man named Thor, or Jason Hall, if you want to go by his real name, who is the head of Pirate Software, a game development company that makes the video game Heartbound. And also, he's like me, a cybersecurity IT specialist. He just came back from DEF CON, where his team won 2 events. They were first in both of them. Posted a picture of him alongside his team. He's shorter than half of his team, Monk. He's a manlet. I'm pretty sure he's like 5'9" or 10.
5'9". I didn't know they stack shit that high. You trying to squeeze an inch on me somewhere, huh?
Sir, no, sir.
Yeah, I've seen him.
Dan,
up
I gotta
against
call
some
you out
friends
on
of
that.
mine, and yeah, he's tiny.
I gotta call you out on that. 5'9", that's actually not that short. I'm 5'11". To you, it's short because you're freaking 6'6" over there.
Wait, John, you're 5'11"?
Yes, I am 5'11".
That is pretty tall.
I could have sworn you and I were the same height.
No, I have been measured many times, my friend. 5'11".
Damn. Must have been hair.
The Monk and I are both gigantic, so
Yeah, I had to look up at you two.
Yeah,
that's fine. A lot of people have to look up to me as well.
Figuratively and literally. Honestly, John, look at with these two. Who do you think's taller? These guys or the Big Show?
Big Show's taller than
Big Show
both
is
of us.
taller than us.
Yeah.
The Big Show's isn't he over 7 feet?
Yeah, he's just over 7 feet.
Yeah.
So he
Well,
would be taller, but
yeah.
When I
I
would hear Big Show talk about Destiny, I'm like, why the fuck does this guy not have a podcast
right?
or a YouTube channel?
No, Big
But
Show.
he's not allowed to be listed at his full height due to wrestling law.
That's
think
true.
the only-
He's been billed between 7 feet and 7 feet 2 inches.
Yeah, something like that. I think the only guy who might be taller than him is maybe Kali.
It's a great quality, though.
We're just judging height, not wrestling ability. There's
Probably Gonzalez. On the other on the other hand, bringing up both Kali and Gonzalez, that's not exactly the killer's row, if you catch my drift.
I mean, Andre the Giant was taller than the Big Show. He was 7'4".
Yeah.
But
he at least could wrestle.
Yeah. Gonzalez, I have to agree with Mark. He should have been in the ring with Yoko that year, because I did go back and watch Gonzalez's match against Nails in the G1 in Japan. That was bad. Nails was never great. All he was pretty much choke was his only move, and Gonzalez was, well, he would even outside of that damn suit, he was completely immobile. He couldn't talk, and he apparently he had communication issues, according to Mark, because Mark kept telling him, according when he talked about it on his podcast, look, I don't care how hard you hit me, just hit me in the shoulder blades and I will sell for you. And at all those house shows, he kept hitting him in the neck. Even after grabbing somebody and saying, see this part, this is your target area. Hit me in the shoulder blades and I will sell. And he just could not get the message until Mark just snapped and just beat the hell out of him during a house show, because it's like, all right, you're not going to learn with your head. Now you're going to learn in other ways.
And Mark's a pretty patient guy. I think we've learned this over the years, especially with his
He
recent
couldn't
interview.
shoulder the
recent podcast.
responsibility.
He's a patient guy. He'll put up with a lot of shit. But there comes a point where even he's like, okay, fuck this noise.
Mm-hmm. And damn it, Rai. Yes, that is your nickname from now on, Rai.
Rai. Why not Riri?
Because she's not yellow enough to be Dio.
Re.
You know, she timed that at the perfect time there, Monk. You said she's not Dio, and then immediately Re.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
Yeah. Then again, I've on multiple occasions pulled the joke of, you were expecting Dio, but it was me, Dio.
No, you see, I can't use all of my nicknames for Riona in public. They're too embarrassing.
Oh my.
And just for a bit of context, I'm going to share with you the meme in question in the Secricity chat.
Oh boy.
Yeah. I understood what you meant, Monk.
Mm-hmm. If you don't get it, then you are not cultured enough.
Hey. Also, Monk, relevant to something I talked about just a little bit earlier about the mid-ending of My Hero Aka, look in memedom.
All right, let's see what we got here. Yeah.
Unfortunately, that tracks.
Yeah,
Man.
which is why it's going to be interesting covering that in a couple of weeks, because that'll be the first time that we've ever done a reconstruction of a manga.
Yep.
Like I think we've done some reconstructions of certain anime, but not much. And of course, there was the. I don't think I'm going to be doing something as ambitious and as with many pieces as the reconstruction we did of Ruby, which
Oh God,
was in 4 full parts. I know that I don't have any plans to revisit that with Viz now owning that and a potential Volume 7 being in the works, because everything I said in that is still applicable, and they still are bringing Miles and Carrie into that, who I talked endless amounts of shit every episode of that thing, and even during some of the workshops, as Zan can attest.
Mm-hmm. Would have been cool if whoever was picking it up was not going to bring them, but no, they're bringing Luna and Shawcross, which is bad. Luna and Shawcross are the reason the entire show is bad.
Yeah, Miles, Luna, and Carrie Shawcross I had made plenty of fun of, and a big reason why they were the target of my ire back then was a unfortunate pattern that they had, where they would instead of developing the characters that they already had present, they would just add new characters every few episodes. Just adding to the pile.
Yeah, because that always works.
This is the reason why I've mentioned before, but I have a healthy amount of respect for Riku Sanjo, because aside from the times that Toei decides to fuck with him about it, he tries to keep casts small and give a lot more detail to that smaller cast.
Smart.
The reason why I bring up the whole Toho screwing with him, of course, even though I like it, has to do with Kyoryuger.
Oh God, they fucked with him on every conceivable level on that series, and he still managed to make a decent Sentai out of that.
Though I think it also was our earliest exposure to his disdain for the PTA, because he seems to have taken pot shots at them in every opportunity he gets.
Yeah, and Kyoryuger's had one of the most blatant ones with the sleeping sheep monster,
Mm-hmm.
where the kid was a spoiled little brat that the parents were doting over, and Kyoryu Gold basically was whipping him into shit. Go, dude, you can't live like that. It's going to end up bad for you.
Because he's had a few run-ins with the PTA in Japan where they got on him for certain monster designs or certain story elements, that kind of thing, and has taken pot shots at them every chance he gets. And I don't blame him for that, because I would do the same thing too, because you guys know how petty I can be.
I'll be honest. Let's just put Vamolo Kyoryuger in my head.
You're welcome.
Hey, it's a fucking bop. I can sing it too. I've done it at karaoke before.
Oh, I don't doubt that.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good song. I've tried singing it before.
Got to get pretty fast with the Japanese. It can be a little iffy.
A little tricky, yeah.
I've had a somewhat easier time in some places, but I liken that to the fact that I used to do a lot of tongue twisters, including the tongue twister endurance test that is how many times you can say toy boat.
I'm not going to do that right now.
No,
I wouldn't expect you to, because you will bite your tongue eventually.
Boy boat? Yeah, you will.
Mm-hmm.
Or you'll start saying boy tote.
Yeah.
Knowing me, I would definitely make that mistake, because I know me. I suck at tongue twisters.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of wondering how many boy totes Riona has. She's got to have a gaggle. We know she does.
Riona, I approve of that image that you have.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a good one.
I'm sorry, that was my childhood, that show.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of our childhoods. Are you kidding me? I loved that show.
I have
That ending. Oh,
depending on who you ask, some of the stuff that was part of my childhood would have been a bit unorthodox. I mean, I was a Power Rangers kid like everybody else. Apparently, there were some people who were like, you've got to be either a Power Rangers kid or a Batman kid, and I'm like, is it too much to ask for both?
You told me to be what kind of kid you wanted me to be. I'm going to tell you to suck my dick. I like them all.
But I've spoken fondly of things like that really weird sci-fi take on Captain Nemo from the 90s. The one with the 3D glasses at certain points. And yes, I had them. I'm not too proud to admit that I didn't. The results there, of course, was, and I love bringing up that this is technically an isekai just to make people's heads explode. King Arthur and the Knights of Justice, which I love
that cartoon.
I even used as a gag for Toku riffs years ago.
I love that cartoon.
That.
Mm-hmm.
Hell, you know what? I'm gonna throw a dark horse in here. I was one of those people who actually appreciated WMAC Masters.
I do remember.
Okay.
I do remember seeing a few episodes of that. I've heard rumors that somehow Vin Man was involved with it, which I don't know how much of that I'd believe.
Yeah.
Well, considering the fact that, as TJ put out in his review of it, it is Power Rangers meets Mortal Kombat. How can you go wrong with that?
Yeah.
Power Rangers, Mortal Kombat, and a little bit of pro wrestling in it as well. But yeah, it's more so the Mortal Kombat is mainly because they actually had a couple of the actors from Mortal Kombat's first movie in the show.
Yeah.
Oh, not just that. The actor who did the game footage capture for
the
first
game actor for Liu Kang, and then one of the fighters from the movie
too.
All right.
Because they
Flood
had
the Time
Kingdom.
Detective would come on every Saturday around Megaman, and God, I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
But
I
it was.
think I remember that show.
It was the Machine, and then the actor who played Scorpion.
Yeah, but the thing is, even back then, I would find ways to play the system, so I would get recordings from different channels, and then just distribute that among my friends. I was doing that for years. Also, don't worry about heading to bed. I do appreciate that you were willing to come on, because I know that the time that I usually do these kind of things is right in between when you usually do your thing. So it's definitely something I appreciate.
I'd like to point out that Riona did bring up the Mega Man cartoon,
Mm-hmm.
or as it's also known, Scott McNeil the anime.
Oh God, yes. Well, anime is loose. Not really so much an anime.
Hey, let the riff fly.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact about being the Scott McNeil show, considering he voiced Proto Man and Dr. Wily, yeah, no, that one definitely tracks.
Yeah.
I should know. I've bet the man on many occasions.
Yeah.
Hey guys, Scott's got one of his scenes coming up. Who wants to go for coffee?
That was him on Beast Wars.
Mm-hmm. But
Escaflowne was never mainstream, Cress. I'm gonna have to stop you there. Escaflowne was around, and there were people who loved it, but it was never really mainstream.
plus the dub, that particular dub of like Escaflowne or Cardcaptor Sakura around that time are in the halls of "We don't talk about that." Like the collective internet has done everything in its power to memory hold those incidents, much like the HBO run of Nausicaa, which is supposedly why there's that rumor that Miyazaki sent a katana to Weinstein's office with a note saying "no cuts."
Or Sailor Moon by Dick.
You'd be surprised how many people defend the Sailor Moon dub by Deke. No, it's the Cloverway dub, the second dub, where people get a little pissy.
Mm-hmm.
No, you're not wrong on that. That's the one that gets people pissed off.
Funny thing about that, when Mark McKinnon was having some back issues a while back and was raising money, one of the things that he auctioned off was a copy of the original Sailor Moon RPG he wrote that had autographs from a lot of the old Deke actors. I was very tempted to grab that, but I didn't. Partially because I had a hard time justifying it when I already had a copy of the book on my shelf as it was.
Yeah. And also, if we want to talk about Sailor Moon, let's just be thankful we got those dubs instead of the Tune Makers version that has finally been unearthed after all these years.
One of these days, I will muster up the courage to do a cringe watch of that. It's just, I'm gonna need more alcohol.
Oh, you will. I have sat through that thing. Oh, I mean, to its credit, it does capture at least some spirit of the original anime in it. But oh god. It is 90s cringe in every conceivable way. And credit to Raymona for actually being able to not only find that, but get the permission to show that.
Yeah. And when it comes to the, and Crest brings up Technoman, I do not acknowledge that abomination of an adaptation of Technoman Blade.
Well, I mean, I think Technoman was actually, was actually better than it obviously could have been, but it was still, bad.
Let's call a spade here. Most 90s anime dubs weren't exactly great. There
want
were
jelly
very
donut?
few.
Mm-hmm. There's a reason what. And hey there, Enix, welcome to the party.
Yeah, I'm just dipping in to say hi and happy birthday to you, man, and then I gotta dip back out again.
No worries, man. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, I'll see you later.
Stay frosty. But whenever it came to the dub v sub debate, I was always of the attitude that when it came to those early days, it was a matter of getting whoever they could off of the street. Like a lot of slim pickings. Dave had talked about how he was mostly doing like car ads around the time he got picked up by ADV.
Yeah.
And thus the legend of Cartoon Boy began.
And I've spoken with several voice actors about how dubbing was done back in those days. It was a very different process to what we do today. These days we have stuff like Pro Tools where it's so easy for them to record, to do the lines and have everything synced up properly. Back then, they had to do everything pretty much manually, and it was a nightmare. You can't really fault them too much. It still dates the dub badly, and of course, then there's also all the writing issues. They didn't know what they were working with. Like, there's a lot of, you could give them a lot of leeway because they were working with something brand new that was far beyond anything they've ever dealt with before. So, it's bad, but it's forgivable in some regard.
Yeah. Now,
unlike now, where it's unforgivable.
Well, now we've had years to perfect the process.
Yeah,
and screw it up by some people.
Mm-hmm. But the people who I've been a firm believer in karma, and the people who end up screwing it up will always get theirs at the end of the day. I just have to be patient, and that patience always pays off. And whenever it comes, but the thing is and this is where I know I'm going to be in the minority on things. I've tried my best to not overdwell on the problems. Mostly because I've seen what happens where a lot of people who overdwell on calling out the negatives within a community, though that negative ends up swallowing them whole. And
yeah,
it's that whole don't look at, if you look too long in the abyss stares back at you.
Stare too long in the abyss will stare back into one.
I'm looking at all of you right now.
You can't look at me, I'm Chaos Incarnate.
Which is why I think one of the best things that I did for the channel was and Chris is saying I understand your denial that it exists. I'm not denying that it exists. I'm just not over focusing on it.
Yeah, there's a big difference there, Chris. Is what we're saying is, yes, we acknowledge that it happened. We acknowledge that problems exist, but don't let that be something you think about constantly. Just acknowledge it, laugh at it, move on.
And moreover, I find that when people focus on it too much, they end up going around looking for it. And that's not something I'm interested in doing. because I've seen how that affects people. There's a reason why every time we do the Hangover shit show, that we end up calling out to that particular attitude regarding gaming. And
Dog nail so assembly awkward.
Mhm. Yeah, I think you're trying to invoke the dog on a nail analogy that I've used in the past.
Yeah.
Because something that is that I've been very vocal about how frustrating it is you see a lot of people talking about how we need to support alternatives, support the indies, etc., etc. But when push comes to shove, they don't do it. They end up. I look at their live streams and they're streaming either older games, or they're streaming, or they're streaming stuff to ride certain trends.
Yep.
And the whole idea of we need to go back to what came before. I don't think that's a solution, at least not in the long term.
That to me, that's something that's a general thing.
Mm-hmm.
The whole idea of pining for the past. And I'm actually made a YouTube short about this that will be coming out pretty soon. But yeah, this whole idea of, oh, it was better back in the old days. Like, this era was the best. No. Here's the secret. That's never the case. Every era, from the past to the present and into the future, will have good and bad. The problem is that because the bad stuff of the past gets left in obscurity, we don't think about it as much. But with the present, we see it in front of our faces, so it's easier to call it out for what it is. So it's not that you pine for the past, it's that you pine for the good parts of the past. But forgetting that there was still some bad in there too.
Like, did you ever see those really early, first few months music videos on MTV?
Oh God.
All of them were shit. There was, and I've working in my fair share of used bookstores. There was a lot of crap that I had to sift through.
Sturge's Law, people.
Mm-hmm. And the other thing is that when there's this hyper focus on this romanticization of past eras, then nothing progresses. You end up with stagnation.
Yeah.
That's part of the reason why we keep using the state of racing games as kind of an example of this, because a lot of the names when it comes to racing games are just trying to repeat what's already been done. The big reason why I have spoken so highly of things like the Mud Runner series, or a lot of the arcade racers, is because they have an identity. Even if that identity is called
Turismo.
Yeah. More recently, I showcased a video from Video Game Esoterica, who I do recommend subscribing if you want to see interesting stuff when it comes to arcade games. He brought up a playthrough of Super Polygon GP, which is very much channeling the spirit of like AM2 Sega racing games, especially like Virtual Racing and especially Daytona USA. And now that I said that, you have the soundtrack to Daytona USA stuck in your head, John.
Daytona!
And how could I? You're welcome for that. But like I said, we focus on the indies a lot in the temple because that is where a lot of the real magic is happening these days.
Yeah, it's where a lot of innovation is being, a lot of new ideas, a lot of innovation, stuff that the AAA companies out there, they ain't gonna touch that shit. They don't want to risk it. But in the indies, oh, they're gonna try everything.
I'd say it's not only not wanting to risk it, but also anybody who has any talent who could do it, they run out.
Mm-hmm.
And for with a lot of people who were in Blizzard who jumped ship, they're making their own stuff that very much has the DNA of something you would see at Blizzard. Because old habits die hard.
Again, hi Thor, how you doing? Pirate Software.
Oh, just leave them alone.
Me trying to showcase them through things through that, or eventually once I start game streaming in September, is me showcasing this is cool shit that's out there. You've got no excuse, which is what's been the mantra for the place since day one. Like if somebody like me can showcase that these kind of games are out there, what's your excuse?
Those who can do it. Those who can't teach those who can't and also can't teach. Scream on Twitter all day *. Stephen King *.
Yeah. Oh.
You know the sad thing part about that line is that I have a tangential relation to Stephen King.
Oh?
Like he's in my family tree.
You poor man. At least you avoided his alcoholism.
I mean, I've never. Don't get me wrong. It's a very far up branch, and I have never met the man myself. But from what I've heard, apparently I'm on the family tree. We and him share a family tree.
Like I said, at least you avoided his alcoholism.
Hey, John.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. At least you'll probably be able to end a story pretty well.
Oof. Well, I've voiced a few stories that ended pretty well.
At least, your stories don't all take place in Maine and feature alcoholic writers.
Yeah, fair enough.
Or have your story get made into a musical. Yeah, the Carrie musical was a thing.
We should not get into that story again, Monk.
Let's not.
Let's not say we didn't.
Yeah.
I was Zan on that one.
Although,
like the only anime I think that will work as a musical ever was Wotakoi.
Although apparently there was in the UK there was a musical rendition of American Psycho with Matt Smith playing Patrick Bateman.
Oh God!
I can see Matt Smith playing Patrick Bateman. Even funnier, I could see him playing Patrick Bateman in a musical and actually working.
Yeah.
I am looking this up.
Yeah. There's a small part of me that is morbidly curious.
Mm-hmm.
We call that the call of the void, John.
Yeah.
It's the same call that tells you to jump when you're standing on a ledge.
Or
that's why I say morbid curiosity, because I know this.
Mm-hmm. And of course, I do think that Smith can play a villain.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think most doctors could play villains. I mean, hell, freaking David Tennant did play a villain.
Yeah, he was the
played multiple villains.
Man.
He's played multiple villains.
Yeah, I was gonna say several times.
And technically, he plays a being of supreme evil in Good Omens, but everybody loves Crowley.
Yeah, you wouldn't exactly classify that as a villain.
Would only because of the fact that he is literally a personification of evil.
Yes.
Put Ryan Gosling in it for the most. He is just like me. FR production for men of all time.
Ryan Gosling and Matt Smith in it? Yeah, you can see it.
Mm-mm.
Oh, that sounds like it'd be glorious.
If only,
hold on.
I would only accept that if we can somehow get Hit to Be Square in part of the soundtrack.
So apparently it was part of the... So I'm looking at the American Psycho stuff. There isn't an actual video of the of the musical. However, there is cast recordings, and I can hear Matt Smith perfectly in there. And at one point, they did somehow include "Hip to Be Square" somehow in there. At least in one of the videos I found. Though that one looks like it's the Broadway version instead of the London cast.
Still, we need a video of Matt Smith just singing that song now. Just no, don't worry about setting him in contact for it. Just a music video of Matt Smith singing "Hit to Be a Square." Please, can I have this?
You could probably do it on like Fiverr or Cameo. Does Matt Smith have a Cameo? That's a good thing to determine.
I know I'm not paying for that since that's going to be ridiculously expensive.
Oh hell yeah! I mean, if you're a big time actor, those cameos are a freaking boatload.
Mm-hmm.
It depends on the actors. Some of the big time actors keep it cheap.
Yeah, and then there's some that want to charge like $1,500.
Nope, Matt Smith does not have a Cameo. Let's see if he has a Fiverr instead.
If he has a Fiverr, I will laugh.
You never know. He may have done it that way for fun.
Mm-hmm.
No, he doesn't have a Fiverr either. I did my check.
You have done your due diligence, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Also, Mace is here. Hello, Mace.
Hello.
Mace.
Hola. I believe it is the birthday of the Monkus.
Yes, it is.
Happy
The
birthday,
kegs
my
are-
friend. Good level up.
Thank you.
Base kegs are in the back.
So what are we doing this fine evening?
Mostly just fireside and shooting the breeze for this ostentatious of days.
Yeah.
Very neat.
I hope you enjoyed the little thing I put up regarding who said his name.
Where'd you put that?
WWE chat.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Where am I down?
In the Wrestling Buddy server, WWE chat.
Oh, yes. I don't think you need to say the man's name anymore. He just appears everywhere.
Right?
Mm-hmm. But the I hear typing.
Sweet dreams all. Thank you so much for having me, Monk.
Good night, Riona.
Bye, Riona.
Happy Monkmas.
If I do one of these again for next year, I'm probably going to have to find somebody to make a Monkmas graphic if that's going to become a thing.
Oh, don't tempt me, sir. Do not tempt me.
Wish you a very Monkmas.
I'm sure somebody will be creatively able to do that for you, sir.
Mm-hmm. I'm certain. I just need to figure out the angle. But something there's obviously been a few bits of insanity that have come up in the last few days. I will note I did finally get pretty much everything I need for what's going to happen on the 27th, along with some new art.
Yeah.
Well, just remember the 25th, we got wrestling.
Oh, I know. And because of the fact that I'm doing Mace, I had moved the Geek Watch thing to 2 p.m. Central, so that's not going to interfere anymore.
Cool.
But it is kind of funny that an event like All In is happening 2 days before my 10-year anniversary. And I will note that as crazy as this month this month and the last few months have been, things are going to get all the more interesting come September, especially since Zan and I will probably be involved in some form when it comes to showcasing the FF Legend project at Sage. Which we are still working on that, folks. It's just in the final layout phase of things, and then it'll be ready to go. I have also set up, because I'm gonna be obviously doing some overhauls in the next few weeks. I did set up a bit of a musical playlist to utilize. And as far as the genre I went with, I decided to go with jazz. More specifically, go with like lounge and city jazz. And I see Crest saying I might have to go on the soapbox to talk about people's expectations on video game adaptations. If this is in regard to the Borderlands movie, everyone who's bullying that movie is completely right. It is shit. And
well, considering the fact that even the game maker is bullying them by making the complete collection 1% off for every percent off the Rotten Tomatoes score is. That's why it's 95% off.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. Gamers are going to enjoy that because those who don't have it yet, it's going to get on cheap and they can put them on everything.
Well, regardless if somebody, I know that there's probably going to be some people who are going to do the straw man of expecting a exact adaptation. For me, that is not relevant. I can say from the footage that I saw that the editing looked worse than my editing.
That's fair.
Okay. Have any of you actually seen the full movie?
Not yet. I've seen a few previews here and there that did not do any favors, and I've also seen what the box office response is.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not that kind of a masochist. Only for big-titted goth women.
Here's the thing. I have seen the movie. I have seen it. In the end, if you go for the look of the characters, the way they talk, and everything else, they actually did quite well. However, the story itself is a big letdown. If you're looking for something that adapts... Oh, excuse me. If you're looking for something that adapts Borderlands 1 or 2 or something like that, you're not going to get it. This movie is Claptrap funny and annoying? Yes. Tannis is who Tannis is. Every character is the way the character is meant to be. It's just that they didn't... Whoever wrote this either hasn't played the games properly or haven't played the games to fruition, or they just wanted to tell their own story based on the IP.
Well, you know who the original director was, right?
I really didn't pay attention to who did what. I just went, hey, here's the final product. I'll watch it and make my own opinion.
The original director was Eli Roth, and apparently his directing stuff was so bad they had to do massive-ass reshoots, which is always a red flag.
Mm-hmm.
And regardless of how well it did, the bottom line is the budget was around $200 million. It made back $8 million.
Oh yeah, look, it's a financial flop. That's I'm not disputing that. What I'm disputing is that people are judging this without seeing it themselves or seeing parts of it.
Yeah,
okay, and that's one of the biggest problems with people who go and see movies and prejudge them based on stuff like that. The Borderlands movie. Yeah, it wasn't a great movie, but it's decent enough that at least we got something.
It might get a second chance when it's on streaming, but we will see.
No, that's a good point, because if this was out on something like Netflix or Prime Video or something, then yeah, it probably would have done a lot better than putting it out in cinema.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's something we're finding out now the age of going to the movies isn't all it is cracked up to be, and honestly, it's a dying thing.
Dying, but maybe not dead yet, though. It's had some resurgences. I think it's just a matter of a lot of movie makers a lot of movie studios and a lot of studio execs are trying to focus too much on creating those big budget epic moments and not really focusing on an actual story.
Very much so, especially considering the bloated budgets we've seen and I've cataloged. Where you're talking like $500 million in budget and then doing massive reshoots, which is probably increasing the budget even further. And given the 2.5 rule, no, even if they make a large amount, that large amount is not going to be enough.
The other big problem with movies, especially adaptation, is that you need to get somebody in who understands and enjoys the source material. You know, that's the big difference between Borderlands and, say, Wolverine and Deadpool. Wolverine and Deadpool, you've got Ryan Reynolds, who fought tooth and nail against executives, producers, directors, and everybody else to get what he knows is the Deadpool sort of story, the way the movie's meant to look and feel and everything else. Whereas Borderlands, they brought in people who haven't really played the games, or they're like, oh yeah, I know of it, but I haven't played it. It's the same thing that's going to happen with the the Yakuza TV adaptation.
Yeah.
The people who are writing it have openly admitted, oh, we know the name, but we've never played the games.
That and telling the cast not to play the games, and when I saw that, I was like, did you fuckers learn nothing from the Paramount Halo series?
Yeah. Whereas if you bring in somebody who knows the source material, who enjoys the source material, is a fan of the source material, that shows on the screen. It shows in the writing process. It shows in everything that is done. That's why you get good adaptations by people who love the series, but they don't want to do that anymore.
At the bare minimum, you need to get somebody who is respectful enough to go back and research and do proper research. The best example of that, Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan.
Marv Bennett.
He didn't know a thing about Star Trek, but he went back and watched as much of the original series as he could to get an understanding of the characters, to get an idea of what kind of story he could tell to make it work. And he ended up making one of the best Star Trek movies of all time. Because he respected the source material enough to do his fucking homework.
And he got some shit, even while it was in development, he got some shit for some of the decisions he was going to make. Especially the whole thing with Spock. Even though the whole Spock dying thing was Leonard Nimoy's condition, because he was on bad terms with both Paramount and Gene.
Yeah.
And he was like, I will do it so long as my character is killed off. And it was only late into the production that he started having second thoughts on the whole killing off his character thing.
And that's how the search for Spock happened.
Yeah. It wasn't something they planned from the get-go. A lot of people claim that wasn't the initial plan.
No. But getting back to my main point here is that having someone who's already a fan of the source material is good, is usually the great way to go, though you can also run the risk of someone trying to create a note-for-note recreation, which very rarely works.
Hi, Zacher. How you doing?
We'll never let you live that down, sir. But
you still get people who are fans of the source material but want to tell their own story. Hi, W.S. Anderson and Resident Evil.
No.
Which one are we talking about? Which one are we talking? The first one, the first set ones, or the recent one?
Yes.
The first series, the W.S. Anderson series. So Resident Evil and what was it?
Do you want to know what I will never forgive him for?
The Mila Jovovich fucking series.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
What I will never forgive him for is the fact that we came very, very close to having to having the original of the Dead guys working on a Resident Evil movie. And
I read that script and it sounded so good. It was almost a note for note repeat of the first game.
Oh, the thing is, he wasn't gonna play the original game himself. So what he did is he had people send him tapes. When I had and just use another example of this kind of thing. A couple years ago, I had on James M. Ward, who sadly passed away earlier this year. Actually, it wasn't earlier this year; it was last year. My bad. And he was one of the lead designers for that first iteration of the Dragon Ball Z card game. And I had asked him about the development of that, because it was certainly going to be outside of the norm from what he had been doing up until that point, which was stuff like the SSI games. And he had said that he was sent tapes of the original episodes. Some of them weren't even dubbed. Some of them were just raw tapes. And he took notes throughout and used those notes for the design of the card game. And given how long that TCG lasted, especially even more so during how it was able to hold its own during the heyday of TCG mania in the late 90s, I think that speaks volumes.
Yeah.
I think I still have some of those cards sitting around somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Even I bought a few packs.
I had whole decks during the Majin Buu era. I mean, and don't get me wrong, Paul W.S. Anderson as a director is fine, but that's all that he will ever be able to be. He is, as a certain American champion would say, mid.
Mid.
Yeah, the biggest problem with the Paul W.S. Anderson Resident Evil films being an adaptation was he wanted to use them as a vehicle for his fiance/wife to break into the big Hollywood. Yeah. Like he wanted that to be the vehicle for Mila Jovovich's debut and career, essentially. Which took away a lot from the original, the adaptation portion of the film. And I know I'm probably one of the minority in this, but the more recent version, Welcome to Raccoon City, I thought did a better job of doing an adaptation of Resident Evil 1 and 2 than anything W.S. Anderson did.
Mm-hmm. And
but another guy that I'll praise for at least attempting to try and keep things interesting but close to the source material is James Wan with Mortal Kombat.
Oh yeah, I saw that. That was beautiful.
Yeah, the dude knows his action sequences. He knows the story beats. He's a big fan of the Mortal Kombat games, and he even said in an interview that when they offered him this job, he said, "I'll take it because I want to destroy the 1995 original."
And you know the sad part is the 95 original wasn't that bad. Now, Annihilation, yeah, that was shit.
I'm sorry, I refuse to acknowledge the existence of Annihilation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't blame you. It was shit, but the original one was actually pretty good. The story felt on point. The characters felt like the characters. Everything seemed on point.
The music was amazing.
Oh, the music was phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
That soundtrack is an all-time favorite.
Yeah.
Oh, that movie had, no matter how much people hate it, you cannot say it did not have an immersive, if not definitive, effect on the video game franchise itself.
Well, when you got the guy who played Shang Tsung in the movie to reprise Shang Tsung in Mortal Kombat 11.
You're not wrong on that.
That's a little bit of a legacy thing there.
Well, not just that, Mace. Not just. Let me say this, John. The depiction of Kano from the '95 movie, that was the before that, Kano really didn't have that kind of distinction. He was originally supposed to be a Terminator-based character, but after his depiction in the movie, all subsequent versions of him were depicted very similar to the '95 movie.
Yeah, because because the actor that played Kano in that movie was Australian. That became a defining feature of the Kano character moving forward from that moment.
That
Hell.
how sleazy he was.
Oh,
Yeah, that too.
and then of course you mentioned Sang Shung's actor reprising his role. Then they went and added DLC to bring back 3 of the other actors from that movie to come back and reprise their roles.
Yeah, they brought back Christopher Lambert for Raiden. Like, what the hell?
I bought that one. I'm like, I don't play these characters. I still want these because, goddamn, that's awesome.
I did the same.
Which is, I'd say that the unfortunate damning thing about that is, when we had talked about this a while ago on Geek Watch regarding the state of things with NetherRealm Studios, and unfortunately, Mortal Kombat 1 hasn't done all that much to dissuade me from what I said back then. Not too long ago, Zan and I had watched and reacted to a certain video where there was the claim that Square was trading on their name, trading on the past. You remember that incident, Zan?
Yep. Also, Cress, side note, Mortal Kombat isn't the only fighting game that has multiple continuities. You're forgetting about Blaze Blue.
Blaze Blue, Guilty Gear. I'd say about half of the
Guilty Gear. Okay, so Guilty Gear says it has multiple continuities, but you don't interact with any of them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yes, Raven and Batman and all of them technically come from a different continuity, but they're all working in the same continuity. In Blaze Blue, the games are named the way they are literally because different timelines keep getting involved.
Mm-hmm. But what I was getting at is, if there's any company or studio that's really trading on their name and trading on the past, NetherRealm Studios very much is that, because it seemed like the main way that the Mortal Kombat games are able to get attention is when they're doing some sort of callback to either Mortal Kombat 2 or bringing stuff in from the past as DLC.
We're putting on famous horror movie characters as DLC.
Or in the case of Mortal Kombat 1, superheroes.
Yeah. Or trying to bring Ronda Rousey in as a character she had no business being.
Oh my god!
And the thing that sucks was, she killed Sonya. Where otherwise, that was a great character. But here's the thing: it's not the worst. It's not the worst. MK1 had the worst.
I'm not going to try and claim that Rousey was a scrub or anything like that. Her achievements are well known, but
Rousey's a bitch who doesn't like anyone or anything except anyone who pays her a fucking dollar.
Mm-hmm.
If you're getting paid, you can at least put in the damn effort, especially when it comes to, voice, any kind of acting. Which is why it's absolutely hilarious that at one point she was considered for that Roadhouse remake instead of Conor McGregor.
Well, what's really fun is Rousey does her best acting when she doesn't have to speak, as evidenced by when she was in the Fast and Furious series.
Yeah,
you got a point there.
She's very good at resting bitch face. She's just not a talker kind of person. The way I put it is that as much as they'd want her to be the female Chael Sonnen, she is not Chael Sonnen.
Let me put it this way, Monk. She'd sell by being the intimidating person in the background rather than trying to be a face in any of the particular wrestling groups. She'd be the enforcer in the background.
Yeah.
Oh, they tried.
I know they tried, and they shouldn't have. They should have had her play to her strengths.
It could be that they were like, oh, we've got a big star, we've got to showcase her in this big program, and they're all about promos.
Yeah, that was a mistake, wasn't it?
Of course, the the other problem now is that she's been going on a bunch of podcasts trying to blame everybody else for her own failings, and it's really tanked whatever reputation she had.
Yeah, it's
Ironic when her theme song is "Bad Reputation."
Maybe she's just Monk. Maybe she's just kayfabing so hard she worked herself into a shoe.
Didn't I think we've all seen Scarface? We know the lesson: never get high on your own supply.
Exactly.
But Chris brings up how he's glad the Fallout series was more canonical. I have issues with the Fallout series, but that's a story for another day. He also says that I fear the Warhammer series is going to be ruined because Amazon's showmakers want to make changes.
Warhammer 40k is going to be ruined because Games Workshop has already ruined the lore. What are you talking about?
And if I'm being honest, at the rate things are going, I do not think the Amazon project with Warhammer is even going to happen, because they're going to hit the deadline with a complete impasse.
Yeah, because they won't work with Henry Cavill, who already walked away.
And with him gone, then any momentum that this project had is also going to be gone.
I find it's actually a damning condemnation. Anything Henry Cavill has had to walk away from because they wouldn't remain true to source materials has turned into utter garbage. We saw it happen with Witcher, and obviously it's going to happen with 40k.
Yeah, if the thing actually ends up happening.
Yes, that's a big if.
And the way things are going, I don't see it happening. And as far as the whole thing with Games Workshop, I guarantee you're going to see them backtrack as soon as they see how the attempt to do the gender swap custodies and the like don't sell. Like you've noticed that they have not tried to do that shit when it comes to the actual minis. Yep. I think because they know that if they do that, they're going to be losing a lot of money. And if I'm being honest, you remember how this is, since he brought up Rings of Power as well, I may as well bring up this meme. You want to House of the Dragon is going, you want to see me completely embarrass Amazon? You want to see me do it again? Because don't think I didn't notice that season 2 of Rings of Power had its trailer mere weeks after the announcement trailer for season 2 of House of the Dragon. You know, the show that embarrassed it last time.
Yeah.
Like, why would you think that's a smart idea to go against the people who already whooped your ass once?
You think people actually have intelligence?
It's like getting a glass of milk and then going, this milk is sour. Maybe tomorrow it'll be fresh.
Again, do you think these guys actually have a link of intelligence? A speck of it?
Honestly speaking, Rings of Power should have been canceled the minute that the first episodes dropped and people were like, fuck no.
Here's the problem: because of the contract, they can't.
Well, they've just written themselves into a corner.
It was a multi-year deal. They're stuck with it.
You know what's even funnier? If the Tolkien estate really wants to do it, they can fucking sue the shit out of them too for ruining the reputation of Tolkien's works. That would be hilarious. I'd love to see that happen.
Yeah. I'm not entirely sure if that's what's going to happen. If it does, believe me, I'm going to be out there with all the popcorn, and I'm pretty sure Andrew Esquire is going to be doing long streams talking about the suit.
Next thing you know, you see Monk just walking through his stands with people watching this
selling popcorn to anyone while also saying extra. You're basically saying free popcorn for the greatest shit show this millennia.
Do I look like Wally the Beer Man? Don't answer that.
I'll take 5 because I love a good dumpster fire.
Yeah. Zan is the only one here who's going to get that joke.
I am going to get that joke. I'm also going to say you're too black for that, Monk.
Fuck off.
And on that note, I'm going hell now, guys. I got going soon.
No worries, man.
Bye, guys.
But I'm not surprised you haven't met the Beer Man, Chris. Wally the Beer Man is a Minnesota local legend.
Did he pass away though?
I know he retired a few years ago. I don't know if he passed away.
Well, let me check.
Who are we talking about now? Sorry, I was distracted for a second.
Wally the Beer Man.
Yeah, Wally the Beer Man, who there was a sting operation that he got dragged into, but he was found not guilty. The co-defendant was found guilty. That's the most recent thing that there was about him. That was all the way back in 2011.
Yeah. Okay, I don't know then. I mean, but he's a pretty old guy, so like.
Yeah, because his particular cold beer here call is synonymous with the Minnesota Twins, and my family has been longtime Twins fans. I think my grandpa had a Homer hanky in his office. A Homer hanky from I think '87.
Wow.
But it had in 2011 he was dragged into a his name was dragged into a sting operation regarding allegations of selling alcohol to minors. He was found not guilty. The other person who got dragged into the sting was found guilty. Apparently he took up a job as a bartender.
Which makes sense.
A bartender at Sneaky Pete's, which is 3 blocks away from Target Field.
Yeah. So now he just gives people their beer before and after the games.
Mm-hmm. But I wouldn't. But I haven't heard any obituary on him or anything like that. So I doubt it. I doubt it. I don't know if he's passed or not. But he was 76 in 2011. So make of that what you will. And thank you for the lurk, Mill. Thank you for the lurk, Chris. I'll probably see you during a future one of these. Since obviously we're going to be covering Mononoke next Monday. Which should be a fun experience, even if we're going to spend about a third of the time talking about the times where the official sub kind of screwed up on certain names. It wasn't like a modern audiences kind of translation, but there were some mythological parts that they really screwed up on. I think one of the bigger ones was the Nue. Calling the Nue a actually no, it wasn't the Nue that was the big screw up that we kept pointing out. It was the fact that the Bakeneko was called a goblin cat.
No, I'm pretty sure it was the fact that we pointed out that they called what should be called Mizuko Zashikiwarashi, or what? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because
you gotta remember that anime was subbed like back in the 90s.
No.
What?
I'm not talking about Princess Mononoke. I'm talking about Mononoke from 2008.
2007.
2007.
Oh, okay.
Which was a spinoff from Samurai Horror Stories, Ayakashi Samurai Horror Stories.
Mm-hmm.
No, the and I'm not talking about the translation. I'm talking about the name of the yokai they use specifically in Japanese is Zashiki Warashi, and Zashiki Warashi are not Mononoke. They're beneficial yokai. They keep luck in a house so long as you continue to feed them rice crackers, basically.
Yeah.
So, but the whole thing about the story, and I don't care, spoilers. Embargo's been over for years. Is that these Mononoke were all the spirits of aborted children from an old brothel turned in, and well, there's actually a term for that in both Shinto and Buddhist scripture regarding an actual purification rite for them, but they're referred to as Misuko, water children. And that's the term they should have used in Mononoke. But hey, artistic license is a thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's an artistic license, and then it's also there's a lot about Japanese culture that does go mistranslated when turned into English, just because sometimes we don't have the phrasing for it, or we just don't understand the concept.
Yeah,
but that's not what's happening here. In the original Japanese, the Mononoke is referred to as Zashiki Warashi. When you look up what a Zashiki Warashi is, it is a child spirit in a home that brings luck to the home and is an indicator of the auspiciousness within the home and family. Mm-hmm. That's not what these spirits did. These spirits, by their actions and how they were formed from aborted children, should be called Mizuko, which is a type of malevolent yokai. It would be a Mononoke.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Although there are some bad habits that were really rampant in the dubbing scene in the late 2000s that have largely faded off. One of the big ones is referring to yokai as demons.
Yokai are not demons.
We already have. There's already.
Yeah, you when it comes to those kind of things, yokai would probably be more attuned to spirits than demons.
Cryptids, because Tsuchinoko are a type of yokai, and they're literally referred to as a cryptid in the U.S.
Mm-hmm. We already have. Japanese already has a term for demon or devil, and that's Akuma.
Or Mazoku, or Yoma.
Yeah, there's plenty of different names for demon in the Japanese context.
Yeah.
But then again, I'm someone who started watching anime in the late '80s, early '90s, so I'm used to mistranslations, mishandling of concepts and phrasing and all that type of stuff. As I've been teaching my brother since I've been out with this back surgery, I've bought a lot of anime from the '90s. So for example, My Goddess, Excel Saga, Please Teacher, stuff that's stuff he's never heard of, and some of the translations in that, because it's using the same DVDs that they used at the time, are absolutely horrible compared to today's standards of translation and sentence structure.
Yeah, I will admit the word Yoma has somewhat fallen out of favor in Japan. You really only see that more often in stuff that came out of the 90s. It's not a word. It gets some use nowadays, but nowhere near as much as yokai.
You see Yoma in term for demons in things that are set in quote unquote older historical times. Like if it's a paranormal historical drama, or if it's just something that's meant to evoke Sengoku Jidai. Those times you'll hear Yoma more often, or you'll hear Akuma.
Mm-hmm.
You'll hear Mazoku more often in recent days to refer to demons because it refers to demons as a race. Mazoku. Zoku being grouping of.
Mm-hmm.
Basically.
But I'm well. I know that some bad actors try to go with this whole we have to do these changes because we can't do a straight we can't just do a straight translation, even though that is that is an argument in bad faith because nobody was ever asking for that.
No, just a proper adaptation. There is a big difference.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Dragon, I will say that in some cases there are words that just do not translate full stop. And maybe in those cases, those should just be kept as is. But that's actually fewer and far between than you might think. Even very esoteric phrases and words in Japanese have some amount of parallel in English somewhere. And if not, you can try and combine things to get the same description. There are very few times where a word just should not be translated. Mostly names, actually. Like there's no reason to try and translate the name of a high school because that's usually associated with an area, and that area name is descriptive of what the area looks like.
Or Japanese jokes, for another example. Sometimes the humor doesn't come across because the phrasing.
Okay, so Mace, my favorite Japanese joke is a pun by one of the characters from Martian Successor Nadesco, Izumi. She's the funster of the entire group.
Yep, I know the series.
It's a pun that was given to her for the dialogue in Super Robot Wars J. And when she's in her A Stivalis and you have her use the immediate knife, she has a chance of saying "naifu ga nai" and then ending with a small but it's written as "fu." So this is not a knife, but then with her little chuckle at the end, it's "the knife is a knife." I fucking love it because it's goddamn genius. It's my favorite Japanese pun.
But that's the thing. It's like a lot of Japanese humor is very pun related, and it's in the way that a single word can mean different things based on the concept of what comes before and after it.
Yeah.
Which doesn't translate well into English half the time, which is why some of the jokes fall flat or just get mistranslated completely.
I remember that there was one in Full Metal Panic when it came to that demonstration fair about the what's supposed to be the Nerima Red Dragons, but they constantly get referred to as Nerima Daikon.
They're basically calling them radishes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they had to put an editor's note about daikon meaning radish. I also remember because I've told Zen, I've told John about this in the past, but once upon a time, a young monk was asked to be a GM to GM a Sailor Moon campaign for a bunch of self-proclaimed Moonies. You will never hear me refer to myself as a Moonie, and anyone who does is going to be put through stretching practice for 5 minutes, even if they tap out. And I ended up pulling a Harv Bennett, and I ended up going through the whole anime. Like, all the way through Stars. And I have seen people say that part of the reason it took so long for Stars to get any sort of attention stateside was because of the whole gender thing. That probably played its part, but something I do think played a bigger part is the fact that every single episode of Stars had some joke that would not work in English. And the fan sub that I was using had a 5-second card at the start of each episode explaining a joke that was going to come in, which normally I wouldn't be cool with that, but this is a necessary evil in this case. And if we really want to talk about jokes that don't work in translation, I'm pretty sure this is why... I don't know if there is an official dub for this anime. Let's talk about Sayonara Zetsubo Sensei.
No, there is not a dub for that. I know that for a fact. And yeah, that's exactly the reason why.
Because every single character's name is some sort of in-joke. And...
yeah.
Well, the protagonist, the so-called Zetsubo Sensei, he has that name because if you write his name horizontally, which he doesn't like when people do, you get the character Zetsubo. i.e., despair.
Yeah.
Like
Did
right,
somebody say despair?
But that's the whole thing with it, with like the translating and thing. Like I miss the days of the old fan sub where certain phrases they would pop a translator note or something at the top of the screen
mm-hmm.
that explains either the joke or the meaning in order for the audience to understand exactly what's going on without sort of having to sort of westernize the joke or the saying or the phrase or something like that. Like the old days of like actually explaining this shit, so you learn something at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't do that in anything anymore, even fan subs, because well, pretty much fan subs are dying on their way out door anyway.
I would like to note that there was a bad side to that, though, and the epitome of that was always just as Keikaku means blame.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. But it did create my favorite meme, and I wish I still had the photo of it. From I can't remember what the anime was, but it had a cow that looked at the camera and just went moo, and at the top it went translator's note: moo equals moo.
Yeah. Although one other infamous case I do remember was with the fan subs I was watching for Sengoku Basara, where for reasons I still do not fully understand, they subtitled Bishamonten because of course one of the characters in that anime is Uesugi Kenshin, the war god. And they translated that as his more Hindu name, Vaisravanya. I'm probably mispronouncing that because I don't do Hindi.
You don't do Sanskrit.
Yeah. And the thing is they tried to. I think the claim that was made, which everybody called bullshit on, was that Vaisravanya would be more well known because India. Which I called bullshit on, and everybody else did who was in the thread on the matter, because we've had plenty.
This is the first time I'm hearing the fucking name, and I don't.
It's Vaishravanya.
Yeah,
it's a more an sh sound.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Vaishravanya. Well, Mace, have you ever watched Noragami?
No.
Okay. Well, in Noragami, Bishamonten is one of the characters, but a lot of her household does not call her Bishamonten when they're privately inside her deity domain. They call her Vina because it's a shortening of Vaishravanya. And that's intentional on the writer's part. That's in the manga as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, the references are made in other places. It's just not in this particular case.
Especially when even by this point, the name Bishamonten had been used in a lot of other media at the time that people who are in the fan sub crews would be exposed to. Especially if you played like Onimusha, you have the whole Bishamonten sword at the tail end of the first Onimusha game. I was
thinking Bishamon from Darkstalkers.
Yeah, that is another one.
Yeah.
The name Bishamonten is gonna be more familiar to people than his original name. It's the same reason people are gonna be more familiar with the name Son Goku instead of Son Wukong, depending on background.
And maybe back in the day, but not these days, Monk.
Not these days, but the joke is still gonna be made. I mean, DBZ Abridged made the joke.
Yes, I know. Especially considering that Black Myth Wukong comes out in like 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Or no, a week, excuse me. Next Monday.
And people are more familiar with Son Wukong these days than it used to be. But like most of us grew up watching like Son Wukong. We would more traditionally know just as Monkey.
Mm-hmm.
just because of the series Monkey Magic.
Well,
And then you know Son Gohan from Dragon Ball, obviously, and then people are like, oh, wait a minute, we're talking Japanese versus Chinese here.
yeah. Well, I'm someone who knew Sun Wukong before I knew Goku from DBZ because I actually got to read a very interesting version of the actual Journey to the West. I still can't find that book. I don't even know if that book exists. It might be a Mandela moment, or I might have just been having a fever dream. I don't know. But it was a book of the Journey to the West with Buddhist teachings, not just koans, but like actual teachings in between chapters, and they were relevant to the chapter you just read, or relevant.
Real quick, guys, I'm gonna head out because I gotta go to bed. I gotta get up early to take my son to school.
All right.
Peace out, John.
Later, guys. Have a good day again, Monk.
But
send me money.
But I realize that I am also a very weird case when it comes to exposure to Japanese and Chinese media, because my first exposure to anime were bootlegged VHSs of the original Sailor Moon that had no subtitles. So I had no fucking idea what was being said or going on besides, Moon Prism makeup and shit like that. Because that's that.
I had a similar start myself. Outside of like English dubs of like Astro Boy and stuff like that, when I started really getting into anime, I started out with VHS tapes of fan subs that were like that I had to hire from a bootleg anime shop.
Yeah, it's you just. I had no idea what was going on, but it was really cool. As cool as some of my favorite cartoons at the time, because that was back when cartoons in the US were still good. And so I was just like, yeah, I love this shit. And then I got into more of it. And then, well, I am the weeb everybody knows and loves today, or hates. There are a lot of people that hate me.
The people that hate us, it's a case of, to reference the interview, which I still haven't seen. I only know this from a clip. They hate us because they ain't us.
Yeah,
damn right.
Yeah.
Especially, and when it comes to the people who over the years have had it out for me, or had it out for you, or both of us, I've always seen that as a badge of honor. That we are able to live that rent free in their heads.
Yeah, they only do it because they wish they had our lives and the connections that we make through our world and the experiences that we've had in our lives. Because, as I've said this multiple times to friends and family, I'm one of these people who have been blessed with the ability to meet a lot of my heroes, to be in situations where I get to do things most people don't, like interview celebrities, hang out with them and stuff like that. I made my childhood dream a reality, and I get paid to pretty much review games and watch anime. So,
and occasionally get drunk texts from wrestlers.
That too. Yes, thank you, Samoa Joe. But like I said, I've lived a full life. I could die tomorrow and arrive at the pearly gates. St. Peter's going to look at the book of my life and go, "What the fuck?" And a lot of people, they'll go through school. They won't make their childhood dreams come true. They won't do anything except work their 9-to-5 job or whatever. And when they get up to the pearly gates, St. Peter's going to look at the book of their life and go, "Man, you're fucking boring."
Yeah. I just
hate on motherfuckers. We got a better life.
There is. I know that MJF has the whole "I'm better than you" and you know it, but there's been one line that was used in those old EA Sports ads in the 90s that I've been looking all over for some sort of clip of, because I remember seeing an extended version when I was a kid, and that is, "I'm better than you and I can prove it."
Yeah,
like that was when EA Sports was actually on their shit. That was a line that was used.
That would have been probably a commercial more than anything, because the tagline for EA games, like even dating back to like the Super Nintendo days was EA Games like Challenge Everything or something along those lines.
No, that EA
Or
game,
get
the Challenge
in the
Everything
game.
wasn't until the 2000s.
Get in the game was 90.
It's in the game was throughout the 90s.
Yeah.
Um,
So you might be thinking of a commercial probably.
yeah, I know I am. I have a feeling that somebody's uploaded some form of that commercial at some point. I just haven't found it. Which is unfortunate because on the other hand, I can find God knows how many of the Sega to Sanshiro commercials. In fact, you can find all of them on YouTube.
Sega ta Sanshiro, Sega ta Sanshiro, Sega Satan Shiro.
It's to the point where I've had a few people ask if that served as inspiration for the whole gaming monk gimmick. Not really.
Well, Sagata Sanshiro was a judoka. What the fuck?
Yeah, and I haven't heard of you breaking into children's rooms in Christmas, telling them to play RPGs.
No.
Yeah.
Although I have considered doing a sketch of breaking into somebody's place when they're about to start a D&D campaign. Go play something else, you fucks.
Just remember that this is when Sega used to have taste, considering that Sagata Sanshiro is based off of Kurosawa's film Sanshiro Sugata, which is also a judoka, a legendary judoka. And also because, they recruited national treasure Fujioka Hiroshi to play Sagata Sanshiro. And for anyone who's wondering, why have I heard that name before? You've heard of the original Kamen Rider before, trust me. Oh, and the fact that he has a star named after him now.
Yeah.
Literally, we've named one of the stars in the sky after Fujioka Hiroshi.
And now his son is taking up the mantle.
Not surprising.
Oh,
his son Maito.
Yeah.
As Sega Shiro, which is just play Sega.
Mm-hmm. Now, and using the same Shiro pun because the Japanese Saturn and the Japanese Dreamcast had both white cases.
Yep. Oh, and the fact that Maito is also playing a younger Takeshi Hongo in Kamen Rider appearances as of 2021.
Mm-hmm. And it is...
Shit! I didn't know that! Fuck! What? Fucking Fujioka Hiroshi plays Zangan, Tifa's master, in fucking 7 Rebirth. What? There is no reason to play it in English anymore, people.
Oh, that's unfortunately casting. Although, I did come across a bit of a story regarding Rebirth, where in terms of how Mercer found out he was going to be playing Vincent. He didn't know it. He didn't know at the time because he was brought in thinking that he was just going to be doing some NPC voice lines, and then the screen that he was watching to do the line starts getting error messages, and it's going with this whole display of what if you were playing somebody else, and then they reveal to him right in the booth that he's playing Vincent, which is definitely a move that would be straight out of my playbook. That sounds like something I would do. No,
So hey, this MP you're voicing, by the way, he's going to be a point of context in the story of this thing, and we're going to need to record about 4,000 more lines. How would you like a pay bump?
But speaking of the whole play something else, I just got a notification about an hour ago that the Cosmere RPG on Kickstarter has managed to get past 7 million in funding. So
not surprising.
Still haven't heard back from them on anything about my question.
Yeah, they're probably just coming off of getting recovery from Conflu after Gen Con. So
that's fair.
I'd imagine there's going to be a bit of time before things settle on that. But I will note the reason why this amuses me is not too long ago we had Mark Kern on, and he wanted to know what we thought was the secret sauce on why DC-20 was so successful. because DC20 managed to get like $1.5 million during its crowdfund. And as much as it would be easy to say that it's due to a famous YouTuber, except I wouldn't say the Dungeon Coach is on that upper echelon. I'd say it's more the fact that you have a large amount of people that are just tired of Wizard of the Coast bullshit. Especially more recently, given that DMCA spree that they were on. Mace, I would have put WotC in Geek of the Week again, except I put them in the clown car years ago.
Yeah. Once you're in the clown car, you don't get out of the clown car.
Because did you
especially if you're WotC, because they keep fucking up every time they open their mouths and announce something.
Yeah. Did you hear about the DMCA wave that they pulled? Even if they pulled it, they walked it back afterwards.
No, I didn't, but that sounds about right.
So, about a week or so ago, the NDA had expired when it came to talking about the 2024 Player's Handbook, and there were plenty of people who had done, and wasn't an NDA, it was an embargo, standard fare, who had done videos doing reviews and the like. A couple people did page throughs, and those ended up getting DMCA'd because apparently there were certain things that they didn't want shown, but they didn't tell anyone that. Gee, where have I heard that before? Girl. I really need to get that looked at. But one of them was, I had planned earlier this month to do a EFAP of D&D Shorts' page through of the book and contrast it with Tales of the Valiant, but since that video got yeeted after the DMCAs, even with the strikes being taken down, I wasn't able to do that.
I wish I had saved that.
Yeah, and I did check all of the alt text sites to see if anybody had made a mirror of it. No dice. It was really a case of, first off, going DMCA happy on YouTubers is a very easy way to get everybody to hate you. Second off, it sends the message of you're trying to hide something. So people are going to inevitably ask, what are you trying to hide?
They're trying to hide that their products are shit.
Well, the fact that I keep finding their products in Ollie's is a damning statement in of itself. But
yeah, well, we don't have an Ollie's over here, but man, I wish we did, because even the trash that I see in there, I'd be like, I'll take some of that.
Yeah, I can certainly understand that. But if I'm being honest, after the OGL fiasco and after how things have reacted, as well as the fact that they're still pushing forward with trying to do a virtual tabletop, and I have made it explicitly clear that thing is not going to work for the same reason I told you it's not going to work when I first heard about it about a couple years ago. Like, and for those who are like, why is it not going to work? Because there's way too much high level competition, and in the case of Wizard of the Coast, a potential conflict of interest since they have a working relationship with Roll20. And
plus, if you're going to do virtual tabletop, there's better options out there already.
Well,
like, even Tabletop Simulator, for all of its glitchy glory, is still considered one of the better virtual tabletops out there.
Here there were two problems. One, they wanted to do full 3D. Most virtual tabletops don't do that because they want to be as accessible and as tech undemanding as possible. That's not to say Tabletop Simulator is that tech demanding. I mean, it's running on Unity. But the big reason that they wanted to do that was because they want to put their virtual tabletop on consoles. That is a terrible idea.
That that's a bad idea. That's definitely a bad idea.
Especially when if somebody wanted to play D&D on their console, there's better options.
Like Baldur's Gate 3.
Pretty much. Which is something that they probably could have had a long-running relationship with Larian Studios, making plenty of material for that if they didn't get in their own damn way.
Yeah, plus what's stuff on consoles has been very hit and miss. Mostly misses.
Dark Alliance.
Anybody remember trying to play any fucking Magic the Gathering game on a console?
I haven't tried that since Battlegrounds in 2004.
That's exactly what I mean. Like, the Magic the Gathering stuff on consoles was never that great to begin with.
Mm-hmm. And there was that Dark Alliance looter slasher they tried a few years ago, which was rated one of the worst games of the year.
Yep.
There was also the console port of Neverwinter, which was not very good. I remember playing the PS4 version of that for about 5 minutes before I thought the better of it. I think most people who are playing that, who are still playing Neverwinter, are probably playing that on PC. And moreover, when it comes to the other virtual tabletops out there, you have a lot of ones out there that are very feature-rich. And that's the baseline that you've got to meet. And if you don't meet that, it's worse than doing nothing.
But plus the other thing is, especially with tabletop stuff, you really need to allow mods. And that is one thing that WotC will probably not allow in their product, is for people to bring in their own like tokens or rule sets or anything like that. They'll want it to be very rigid, and you have to pay for what you're doing.
I've had people try and snow me on D&D Beyond and tell me, "Oh, you can do custom content in that." Then I looked at it. You can't do monsters. You can't do character classes. You can only do existing subclasses, feats, and spells. And
so in other words, they're just restricting you to their own content without saying that they're restricting you to their own content.
Mm-hmm. And the stuff that they are letting you do custom for is barely a pittance. Putting aside the fact that Wizards of the Coast has been very, very hermit crabby regarding expanding options for players and GMs. A lot of the expanded content has been mostly third party. But when it comes to this whole idea of doing a VTT, like I said, the Tabletop Simulator has Steam Workshop. There's entire forums and the like for doing custom content on Roll20. Same thing goes, especially with Foundry, to a certain extent with Fantasy Grounds, but not nearly at the same level. Though I haven't touched Fantasy Grounds in a while because it's too fucking expensive. Like, it's $60 for a GM package and $30 each for a player package. That's why we didn't use it for Cloister. Because I'm not having everybody pay that amount for a virtual tabletop. I know that it has a lot of options, a lot of customization, but no mas. And there's even virtual tabletops that are just built around D&D 5e, like Shard, which is done very well for itself. I guess if there's a video game analogy, it would be the concern that I had when Diablo 4 was coming out, where I had said, if it does not knock it out of the fucking park, it is going to be treated as a disaster.
And it was a disaster.
I will give it this, though. It's a great advertisement for other ARPGs, because everybody else pounced. I mean, we're getting a Titan Quest 2. Who thought that was going to be a thing a decade ago?
As riveting as this conversation is, guys, I'm going to have to drop. I need to get up and do some exercises before I leave most of the day.
All right, man. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you, and once again, happy birthday, Monkus. Good to see you again, Zan, and take it easy, people.
Thank you. Stay frosty. But I do remember playing a little bit of Diablo 4, and I remember how they talked about how it was the darkest story that they'd ever done. It wasn't. The much maligned 3 was darker. In fact, I saw a bunch of people play Diablo 4 for a bit and then go back to playing 2 or 3 or Path of Exile. And I remember Upper Echelon's review of it just amounted to go play Path of Exile instead. Which that is getting a sequel, so again, it's a great advertisement for other ARPGs. And I had said that we're in a very competitive market when it comes to ARPGs. There's a lot of high quality offerings out there. You know, Torchlight 3, Warhammer Chaos Bane, Asura, Last Epoch, Wolfson, Lords of Mayhem. And that's the baseline that you've got to meet when it comes to being feature rich. And if you don't meet that, it's worse than doing nothing. And I knew that if it would either knock it out of the park and be able to establish its own footing, or it would flop and people would end up going to other things. Now, when I made that prediction, I didn't know the level of behind-the-scenes tumult that was happening at Blizzard at the time. And the only fixing that they've done since is getting Mac support to satisfy Whoopi Goldberg. Golf clap. But but again, there's alternatives out there to the point where despairing about the current current entries when it comes to these larger franchises, that's where we've had to ask the whole games or names thing. Do you value that name recognition, or do you value the gameplay experience that you got from that name? Because if you value the former, then were you even a fan to begin with? And to that end, I recently watched the video that Maximilian did regarding the massive overhaul they're doing with Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. I have more respect for that than I do for anybody lamenting about the state of things. Because with that, they're at least putting their money where their mouth is. And I know it's easy to go corpo bad and all of that, but again, that's junk food, and I don't want to be another channel that dedicates itself to junk food. So even when I do get back to video game streaming, you're never going to see me streaming Diablo or the like. I probably won't even do WoW because I lost my account a long time ago. This particular coming few weeks, I'm still going to be making the plans, and I will be doing another fireside like this on the 27th, but it's going to be in a much different look, which those of you who know how things are going to go. The rest of you will see. But I think that is as strong of a spot to wrap it up for now. We will be back here next Monday for the proper presentation of Mononoke for the Parliament of Geeks. I will be doing a couple interviews in the interim, and if any of you guys hop on the Flux Fantasy Discord, and I will be putting in an invite later tonight, Zan and I will be doing an interview. We're actually going to be on the other side of the glass with the team over there. We had done this a while ago, but somebody screwed up on the recording. So we're going to be doing it. We're going to be doing it there. I'm probably going to set up a backup recording of the audio, just in case. I know that they've said they're not going to have that problem, but you know how it is, Zan. You never can be too careful. But I hope to see you all there for that, as well as some of the stuff we've got in the future. So until then, on behalf of the Good Brothers present and not present, my name is Mildra. I am your gaming monk. Stay fucking frosty, everybody.